Hi, everyone. Welcome to day one of the 21-day challenge. Today, we are going to be starting with use of English part 4, because that's the part that most of you struggle with. Yeah. So, and that's the part that has the most points in the exam. So we're going to start there with use of English part 4. In this training video, I'm going to explain the technique of how to do this part of the exam. So this is a very, very important video to watch, because this is where the majority of mistakes are made, the silly mistakes that we don't need to make. I'm going to make this short and sweet. So we're going to go straight to the point. I'm going to stop talking and give you everything you need. So let's go. Okay, so use of English part 4. So to start with, just a few things about how it's done. So you've got 6 questions and there's 12 points in total. So that is 2 points per question. So you can either score a 0, 1, or 2 for each question. Okay. They're going to be testing you on 3 things with these 2 points. Yeah. So either a grammar point, a vocabulary item, so a phrasal verb or a fixed expression, yeah, or a word formation. And you might have to change a noun to an adjective, for example. Okay, those are the 3 things they generally test you on. And from those 3 things, you usually have to do 2 of them in each use of English question. Yeah, because remember, we get 2 points per question. So if you think about 2 things that you have to do, that usually helps you to see if you've kind of got the right answer. Yeah. Time, about 7 to 8 minutes. So think about a minute a question. Okay. This includes the time for you writing your answer in your answer sheet in capital letters, if you're doing the paper-based. And the last thing we want to think about with use of English part 4 is that it's like a puzzle with a technique. Okay, it's like learning how to do a Sudoku or a crossword or something. There's technique in this. Okay, and this is what we're going to talk about in this training, so that we don't lose those silly points. Okay, so let's have a go. So first technique is noughts and crosses. You can see a little explanation of noughts and crosses in the corner there, if you played that game when you were younger. Noughts and crosses. Okay, so this is what I want you to do when you're doing this exercise. Okay, so here's our exercise. So what we need to do is cross out the things that are the same in each sentence. Okay, so the book was interesting. The book was interesting. Was difficult to understand at times. Was difficult to understand at times. Okay, so now I know with my knot, with my circle, this is what I need to focus on to go in here, to go in the gap. Okay, that's all I need to focus on. So if you do this technique, it makes sure you don't miss anything. Yeah, so sometimes there might be something to circle over here, but people forget about it. Yeah, and they don't add the word so, for example, or they miss a preposition or something that they don't put in the second sentence, and then they lose points. Yeah, or they put the instead of a. It says the here, and they don't put the here. So just make sure that we cross and circle to help us. Yeah? If anything changes in the sentence, yeah, make a note of that as well. Yeah? Here we just got cross and circle. So here we need but it. That's all we need to do with despite. Now, if you look in the next training on vocabulary, we look a little bit at the different rules for despite, what we use after them. Okay, so you've got despite plus ing, and you've got despite the fact that, no? And in spite of, and in spite of the fact that. No? So the book was interesting. So despite was no, because it would be despite being difficult to understand, no? So, and we have it. So I'm going to use despite the fact that, no? Despite the fact that it was difficult to read. Now, these have to be between 3 and 6 words. Yeah, so always count your words afterwards to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Have I used everything? But is despite, and it, I've got that here. Yep, so this is correct. Okay, so this is technique number 1, knots and crosses. Okay. Number 2, technique number 2, 2 things. Think about that you usually, not always, but usually have to do 2 things for your 2 points. Yeah. So here's my example. So first, I'm going to do my knots and crosses. So if I has changed to if, okay, so this is a change. Spanish when I was younger. Spanish when I was younger. Okay, here we've added a word. I'm going to circle this to notice this. I've added a word. Okay, so here we've got, I regret not starting to learn. Now, the first thing to notice here is we've got a preposition, and here we have a verb, which means we're going to need a preposition, a phrasal verb for to learn, yeah? Or possibly starting to learn. Okay, so I need to think of a phrasal verb for that ends in up. Yeah? The second thing I have to do is think about a regret. Now, again, we'll look at the grammar for this later on, but regret should have a big alarm bell in your head that they want you to use structures with wish. No? So regrets, something that we wish we had done or hadn't done in the past. Yeah. A regret, if the regret is negative, the wish is positive. And if the regret is positive, the wish is negative. Okay, so here the regret is negative. So our wish is going to be positive. But hang on, we've got this word only here. What's another way to say wish? If only. No? So this would go with this bit. If only. We have to use a past perfect. So if only I had, so it has to be positive, no? If only I had, and now we need the phrasal verb. The phrasal verb, started to learn. Phrasal verb, to start to learn something is to take up. So if only I had taken up Spanish when I was younger. Okay. What am I going to do afterwards? I'm going to check the words 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's between 3 and 6. That's fine. I'm going to check I haven't missed anything. So started to learn is take up. I regret not is if only I had. Okay, we're good. So we're going to get 1 point here for knowing the grammar with regrets and wishes. And we're going to get 1 point here for vocabulary for knowing the phrasal verb. Okay. If you get half of it right, you get 1 point. If you get all of it correct, you get 2 points. If you have none of it correct, 0 points. Okay. So noughts and crosses, 2 things. Okay. Last thing, it's getting tense. Tenses. Okay. So tenses. So this is another common mistake that people make in this part of the exam, is they get the phrasal verb right, they do the word formation correctly, they get the grammar correct, but they change the tense in the first sentence to a different tense in the second sentence. Yeah. So remember, in Use of English Part 4, keep the tenses the same unless the grammar point is a fixed structure and you have to change it, like wish. We need to use with past perfect in the last example, yeah, or reported speech, where you might have to report something and you might have to go backwards a tense. But if it's not something that has a specific tense structure that goes with it, then we keep the tense the same. Okay, so always check: is it past? Is it present? Is it present perfect? Is it future? What's the tense? Okay, so we'll start with our crossing and circling. So since the last World Cup, football has become less popular. So since the last World Cup, okay, this bit's here, football has become less popular. Okay, so this is the bit that we need to focus on. And here we've got to change there has. Okay. Notice here, has become present perfect. Okay. So let's see. Here we've got of, which I need to think about. Okay, so decline, it's like going down. So I presume this is become less, yeah? Has become, so I'm not going to say was, or I'm not going to say became, I'm not going to say will become, I'm going to keep it the same. But we've got decline. So for this, I would say there has been a decline. Decline has a fixed preposition. Decline in something. Yeah, decline in plus noun. No. So there has been a decline in. This is 1 point. Yeah? Tense is the same. Got fixed preposition. 1 point. I've done one thing. Yeah? So now I need to think about the second thing, which is either going to be grammar, phrasal verb or fixed preposition, or word formation. Okay. Decline in, I need a noun. So what's there been a decline in? What's become less? It's become less popular. So I'm going to have to change this to a noun. Okay. What's a noun from popular? Popularity. Okay. Nouns need articles, no? So there's been a decline in the popularity of football since the last World Cup. Next thing, what do I have to do? Count my words, no? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's between 3 and 6, so it's okay. Double check. So have I used the main word? Yes. Yeah. Football. Oh, football. Football's here. No? Have I said has become less? Yes. been a decline in? Popular? Yes, the popularity. So I've covered everything in it. I've not missed anything out. So it's okay. My answer is good. Okay, so that's all you need to know for now for technique. Okay, knots and crosses, two things, and tenses. Okay, just three things to remember: knots and crosses, two things, and tenses. Yeah. When you finish doing each part, double check that the things you have crossed and circled, that you haven't missed anything out. Count the number of words to see that it's between 3 and 6. And of course, make sure that you've used the word here. Remember, you can't change this word. So I can't put declines or declined. Yeah, this word always has to stay the same. So be careful not to do that also. Okay, we will review this technique later on in the challenge, but right now what's important is we get started and we get practicing. Okay, so next is vocabulary, and then we'll do some practice exercises. After you've done your practice exercises, we will do exactly this again. Okay, we'll go into detail through all the answers and common mistakes, and make sure that you are using the technique correctly. Okay, take care. I'll see you in the next training.